Hail them.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies. Open.
I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Hello and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we are trekking through the past and future of Star Trek. As always, I'm your host, Mike Jones, and joining me in the Zoom room, he is a sneaky conspirator who used an old lady spy to ship a uniform to my house, not my house, but to Lenita's house. It's Damien.
Well, yes, this is very true. And the funny thing is that we had to pause. We had to pause before the start music, right? So that she could type this to Mike Jones as though this was some sort of offense that I consulted with her mother before buying her a gift. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, you've heard about her, and this is the intro that Damien wrote for her is going to be very appropriate. She finally owns a uniform, but damned if she'll wear it tonight. It's Lenita.
Absolutely. I've chosen to be in a neutral tiger print. Thank you very much.
Is that a tiger?
What
Is that
tigers
what
are you?
Tiger?
That's a leopard, girl.
Cheetah, leopard,
Oh
you know,
my God.
it's animal
It's some
print.
basic zoology.
Listen, I'm not the dictator. I'm not the animal expert. I'm still learning day to day.
Oh my gosh. And we're very excited about our special guest for this episode, our new friend who we met in New Jersey. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. I almost said friend from Jersey. You're not from Jersey. Like, I'm not.
God, no.
God, no.
I mean, it's okay to be from Jersey, listeners,
Right,
but
know,
she's just not from there.
The bottom left corner coming to us from New Jersey.
Please don't send shit to the podcast.
It's Leigh Ellen, not a member of the Bridge and Tunnel crew. Hey.
Leigh Ellen,
I'm also a bridge and tunneler because I'm in Queens. So
Okay.
Technically.
Leigh Ellen, who you are the deputy COO for Too Proudly Go.
Yes, I have all
rhyming.
my
Rhymes.
Proudly Go swag with me today,
Oh my
and my
gosh.
cup matches Jameson shirt.
Yes,
nerd.
I'm wearing my queer nerd shirt, which I got at the con from the Too Proudly Go table.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm also the stage manager for the drag shows.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Mhm.
Excellent.
realize that either.
That's where I met Leigh Ellen.
Yes, to be clear, Lenita and I met Leigh Ellen at Too Proudly Go in Manhattan, in Chelsea, in New York City.
So much fun.
Yes.
I met Leigh Ellen at the Trek to New Jersey, I think is what they call it, because they can't call it Star Trek convention.
And I met Mike Jones all the way back in 2008. No, but I knew I was in the right place when I walked into a basically empty convention hall. Like, you could hear every echo every time something dropped. We got there so early. When I heard Jameson, which there's only one person that I know that calls me that. Now there's two, so glad she's here.
I don't know how you could hear a pin drop on that carpet, though.
Was it carpeted? It just felt empty.
It was
and
empty. It was early.
It felt empty, and we got there early. But
I appreciate you for
Yeah.
that. I appreciate you braving an early start for me because I had to then get on a plane and leave.
Yes.
So
You guys looked so cute. I loved it.
Aww.
Yes,
you.
and yeah, we should say that
Thank
it
you.
was the first time that all three of us went to a con together, and it was Lenita's first con and her first time in uniform.
Yep, a lot of
And
firsts.
we dressed up in uniform as our cartoon avatars.
So fun.
So I don't know that we established where we were talking about.
Oh my God!
Start talking.
We all went to the Creation Convention, the Trek to Las Vegas. That's what they call the big one. Trek to New Jersey, here in November 2024. Was it in Secaucus?
Yes.
Is that like
the Meadowlands? It's in Secaucus.
The Meadowlands. It's in Secaucus. So yeah, it was a 3-day con, right? But 4 with setup. So Thursday setup, Friday first day of the convention.
Mhm.
Saturday is like the big day. It definitely did not feel empty on Saturday. And then Sunday, Damien and I didn't go. We like slept in because we were out late Saturday night. And
As
We'll
you
talk
should have
about it.
been.
We'll talk about that. We'll cover that.
What were you
Mhm.
yeah.
doing?
You'll have to wait and hear.
So that's
Yeah, Leigh Ellen is like dying of suspense because what she was there the whole time, so she knows exactly.
exactly right. So yeah, I hadn't been to a creation convention in years, and so
Yeah,
they're
same.
the organization that does the Las Vegas convention every year, which is the big one. They used to be the official Star Trek convention, but I guess they lost that licensing deal. But they've continued on using clever pseudonyms like the 50-year mission or the 55-year mission, or now it's like Trek to fill in the blank city.
The city, which is cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's kind of cool, like to be like, oh, where are we trekking to next on our
right.
adventure?
It's pretty smart. And we didn't stay at the hotel. We were part of the Bridge and Tunnel crowd. Because this one was a regional convention. I'm sure there were people staying in the hotel that was like across the street that was kind of connected to the convention center. But it felt very much like a locals crowd. It didn't feel like many people flew in for it like I
Mhm.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did meet some people who flew in, but I mean, Leigh Ellen, you
Yeah.
probably talked to more people than we did at your table.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
gonna say, as somebody at a table, I would say probably at least 75% of those people were all local to either New Jersey or had come over from Manhattan. We all like rode the bus over at different times of the day and had like different like Trek cosplayers on the bus with us. So yeah,
And
it was
maybe
nice.
can you explain to us like what tabling is, what you guys
Yeah.
Oh
were
yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Like tell us the sort of like general trajectory of like setting up through tearing it down and what all you did the days that you were there.
For sure. So I'm with To Proudly Go. You guys have had Heatherwood and Sunil, who is technically my boss, the COO. I'm his deputy on your podcast before, but we do Star Trek themed drag shows in Manhattan and Chelsea every weekend. And we went and had a vendors table at this convention so that we could sell some of our merchandise to help with our operating costs. Some of the merch that I'm wearing right now, the earrings that I made from our old keychains. But yeah, we had three of us that went for the whole weekend and just talked to people, gave out business cards with QR codes for our show, and just got the word out. It was really crazy the amount of people that were like, I live in like Midtown and I've never heard of this before, or like I go to New York every single weekend, I'm totally going to come. So it was really great for us to like make those connections and be able to get the word out to people that are local. So that was pretty cool. I think my favorite day though, can I jump into a story?
Please.
Yeah,
That
please.
okay?
Yeah.
So we went for setup on Thursday. So there's like nobody there. It's just like vendors, not even all of the vendors, just people like setting up their tables, like organizing things, getting all their stuff in. And we have a friend of the org who works for creation now. And I was just chatting with her over by the table for the creation table. And guess who walks in the door is Sirach, or Jake Sisko, as many of you might know him.
Yes.
And just I'm like, I've worked in restaurants for so long that I don't typically get super starstruck. Like I can hold it down. But I was like, oh my goodness. And he looks at me, beeline straight for me, and gives me the biggest hug. And I'm like, what is going on?
What is
And
happening?
he's like, oh, it's so good to see you again. We've got to go drink wine again. And I'm like, I don't think that I am who you think I am, but I would love to go drink some wine with you. And so we chatted a little bit that night, and it was really, he was so nice. Like every day of the convention, if he didn't have people at his table and he saw me walking by, he would get up and like give me a hug. And then at the end, he gave me an illegal selfie because I didn't like pay for it at the table. It was
Oh,
outside
Awesome.
a
after the end of
freebie.
the convention. So I got an illegal selfie with Jake Sisko, which was cool.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I
He
love
seems like a
that.
genuinely like really nice person, like very
Yeah.
like authentic and down to earth. I mean, and their podcast is great. The seventh, is it the seventh rule?
Seventh
Is that
Rule.
the
I
name of
watched it
it?
on YouTube a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
I need
But
to
I
check
absolutely
that
love
out.
that. I would have been tempted to just go with it and be like, yeah, when are we getting wine? Like let's do it.
Yeah, we're
I
going
can't.
out
I can't.
tonight, right?
Like I can't
Right.
remember. Did you give me your contact information? Like let's exchange numbers
Yes,
again, just
yes,
just in case, because I don't
yes.
know if
I
I,
lost
my new
it.
I got
phone.
a
I
new
don't think.
phone.
I don't
New
think it
phone.
transferred over. Missed opportunity, ma'am.
I know. Sadly, I did not get any of his contact
honest.
information. I did kind of hear through sources that he's very like kind of private with his personal life and everything.
Oh,
And
I'm
course.
sure.
he doesn't even have an Instagram, I don't think. So like I totally respect that. But he was so kind and he was super chill. And I really enjoyed chatting with him. So yeah.
Yeah, he
But yeah,
seemed very approachable. And yeah.
yeah. Jim, instead of going by time, let's jump into topics. So there were a lot of guests there. Like there was a bunch of TNG folks.
Yeah.
You know, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, Brent Spiner, Michael Dorn, and then Deep Space Nine folks, like
Terry
Sirach
Farrell.
Lofton, Terry Farrell, Rom, who's the actor's name,
Max Gurdenchik.
Max.
Thank you, Max.
Yes.
Yeah, like they were all there. There were Lower Decks people there. We were very excited to see. We got a picture with Eugene Cordero and Tawny Newsome. So what was the celebrity or guest, I should say, highlight for each of you? Who wants to go first?
Oh,
you might have
go
already
ahead.
said Sirach.
I think I kind of have a second one, but I'll go last.
Oh yeah, no,
go for it.
Okay. Well, so I don't have them where I can grab them right now, but I have two cats. One is named Neelix and one is named Beverly Crusher because I'm crazy and a huge Trekkie. Beverly Crusher is usually just Beverly, and usually it's more like Beverly, stop it, you know, like. But I met Neelix at the Trek convention in Long Island earlier this year, and I talked to him about my cat, and he totally thought I was crazy, which I ran with it. I love it, whatever. But I wanted to meet Crusher. And so my brother was visiting as well, and we did I have a little group. We took a group photo with her. Oh, I guess
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it was really cool. I told her that I named my cat after her, and she thought it was really cute. And it turns out that she actually works with another nonprofit called Lambda Quadrant that works with Jackie Cox, who's another Star Trek drag queen, and she goes and supports some of their events. So that was a really cool highlight to meet her. I've known who she was for forever because didn't she choreograph Labyrinth? She was working with the Muppets for years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
She's in Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
So random. Yeah. Amazing career. All right, who's next?
I was just excited about everybody. No, I mean, and I say I'm not saying that just flippantly. It was my first con. Yeah. I went on a day that wasn't fully jam-packed with stuff because it was Friday. It's the first day. But for me, it's oh, I can see the nugget of what a full 3 days would be, right? I'm okay, great. Did it. Now when we do it again, we're doing it, right? I wish that I could have come to Philly when y'all went to Philly. It would have been so much fun. But I really like the fact that we were all three together, all in our little uniforms, meeting, excuse me, Tawny, and making sure that we had a photo, making sure that I got, because I only got one autograph.
Got a photo with Tawny Newsome and Eugene Cordero from Lower Decks, and it was upon Lanita's insistence that we do it.
Correct. And these two, oh, what do we need to Venmo you? Shut up. I want a photo, so we're getting a photo.
Oh, so nice.
I don't care. What are we talking about? This is happening. Spend your money on your other stuff. For me, this is for me. And so that was really cool. I would have liked to have been there on Saturday, maybe a couple more, just, whatever, just being like, hey, cool, don't need a photo, sign something for me, yada, yada, yada. But like, it was just overall stoked, super stoked to be like the lower decks folks. I was very
It's just
excited
on
for
cloud
them.
nine.
We definitely, while posing for that picture, though, I mean, I don't know, we're fully jumping around here, but this is kind of
I
one
love
of
it.
the primo stories of the con, I feel like, for all of
Yes.
us.
Do it.
So as we were what we had been invited out, we saw the ad, that Tawny
So
and
we've been
Jack
invited
were
out.
doing their improv show in at Second City in
Right.
Brooklyn,
In Brooklyn.
called We're in Town for Something Else, which it seems
Correct.
like they do whenever they're in whatever city they're in. They try and find a place to do this show, and it is an improv show based on the idea of um, being in a city for one thing, but the lead story becomes something unexpected else that happens that's not the purpose that you're there for. So they've got this improv show planned, and we kind of were aware of it. And so we go up for our photo op, and we sort of like we're like arranging ourselves for the picture. And then so I said to Tanya, I said, that we have kind of a bit on our podcast that you're going to come on next week. And to which she said, well, you realize that means I can never come on because then you lose the bit.
Right.
And I said, that bit can die. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
We'll let the bit go. We'll let it go. We'll let it go.
That's
that
right.
can go away.
Yep. So she said to us, well, if you come to my show in Brooklyn, I will record a voice memo for your podcast.
And we were like,
and I
done.
said,
we were already
you all are going to, before this, I said, y'all are going to Brooklyn.
Oh, yes.
And then it was, oh, if you do, I'm like, you all are getting on a train to Brooklyn. I'm not going to be here. Take your asses to Brooklyn. And that's how I left it. It was like, hey, bye.
This is the thing about having bossy friends. Like sometimes you do things because you want to do them, and then your bossy friend is bossing you to do them, and then they think that you did it because they bossed you to do it, but you were going to do it anyway. So
right.
Good to know.
So Saturday was the sort of, I mean, I'm sorry that you weren't there, Lenita, but was really one of the highlight days because Mike and I left the con. We scarfed down some dinner, and then we saw our friends at Too Proudly Go. Ellen was there waiting for us. Heather was on stage, and Kylie, and Sunil was there. And we met Jackson, the drag king, doing Boimler. We'd never seen him before. And also Austin.
And we met
also
Austin.
Austin, who was great at the improv, by the way. He knew exactly how to like tell a story and then withhold the good parts so that they had to pry it out of him, which was
yeah, he really did.
He really did. It was like clearly on purpose and very well done.
He's very proud of that, by the way.
of that moment.
That moment.
Oh yeah.
I would be too. Yes, I was like, because I think of like funny things on like a 30 to 60-second delay. So I was like, I don't have a story. I can come up with anything. There he was with the story. So it was all good. But so we did end up going out there. Yes.
Yeah, because once we had decided we were going to Brooklyn, we went to talk to our Proudly Go friends, and had you guys already decided to go, or like, Leon, tell your version of the story.
I knew that because I actually like bombed your meet and greet with the lower decks guys. I was like, oh, they're over there talking. I'm gonna go see. So I heard her saying that to you and like inviting you out to the show.
Yeah.
And I actually went by the table later to talk to them about just our organization. And Tawny was like, hey, if you guys want to come out to the show and have your drag queens with you, like maybe we could do some kind of collaboration or like call you out and let you like talk about the org. And so I jumped into Bossy McBosserson mode and I was like, okay. So I was on the phone for like, you guys were in panels, I want to say for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
On the
story,
phone.
yes.
I'm on the phone with Heather. I'm on the phone with Jackson because Jackson does Boimler. Jackson wasn't performing at the show that night, but he was like, I totally want to go and Boimler drag to this thing. Yes. And so I got organized, and then we went over there after the convention, and then we all kind of trekked out to Williamsburg to the show together with the queens and king performers. Pardon me,
That's
Jackson,
awesome.
if you're listening.
That's awesome.
And
It was
it was great because it was like 8 of us, right?
Yeah.
And the sort of civilians kind of like sat in 4 in the back, and then the queen and king were up front, and you were sitting with them, right? But it was
Yeah.
like they were in such a prominent seat, so that when it came time and Heather got up and talked to Tawny as part of the show.
It also helped that Austin was sitting with us as well and decided to tell his story about the Grand Canyon grinder hookup or whatever crazy story was.
it was fertile material for them to improv off of. That's for sure.
And there were some really, because he was on a trip with other teachers to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And it's great because they kept, they were like pulling the story out of it. It's really Tawny pulling the story out of him with questions. And the question came up, what do you teach? And he said American history. And he said, what do your friends teach? I don't know. And that, for some reason, that he traveled with other teachers and didn't know what they taught was a joke that they couldn't let go of and kept coming back throughout the show because they're doing callbacks.
It was a lie?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Afterwards, he goes, I know who all those teachers were.
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
and also
he did
it
a good
sounded
job.
like he was hooking up with the chef from his hotel, but the hotel sounded like it was like a Hampton Inn. So it was like the person who
Right.
like keeps the cereal full.
Right. Well, it wasn't a hookup to start. He was like, so I met up with a chef and we went to the woods and we were like, wait, how did you find this chef in the woods? And he was like, well, there's this thing called Grinder. And we're like, oh, and like Tawny was like, okay. So this was a hookup in the woods. And they're like, what kind of chef? Well, he like cooks at our hotel. Yeah, like it got more and more tragic.
Insane.
But the takeaway here is that they were fucking funny as shit.
Yeah.
Their show was so good, and they were really good at interacting with audience members and like pulling funny details out of them, and then incorporating those into their improv. And it gave me all these sort of like, how did they do that moments? Do you know, like how'd they know it was over? How'd they know when to change scenes? Like all these things that like are improv skills, that are second nature to them. I'm just like, how do they figure out how to do that?
That's why they have classes.
Yeah.
It's that.
I don't
classes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but I kind of saw like the lights would change, and it seemed like that was like a 15-minute kind of interval thing so that they would know from the stage.
Yeah.
I know that a little bit.
So like debate club.
Yeah.
So when you're doing debate, you have a green light, and then it goes to yellow to let you know that you are at your 3-minute mark, and then it flashes over to red, meaning we're done with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the stage manager who was running they're calling the show, maybe running the lights, really had to be in tune with them to know, because the blackouts at the end of the scenes were like comedically timed. So like they had to like have that like instinct as well. And Tanya Newsome came from the Second City, and Eugene Cordero was came out of the Upright Citizens Brigade. So they both have this like pedigree of like of really great improv. Yeah, it was a wonderful evening. But here's the thing, that improv show that we were invited to, well, we were invited to buy tickets, let's just be honest. But it started at 10:30 at night. I'm like, 10:30 p.m.? Like, I am in bed by then. We messaged Erin Hadley, who we're like, because she like lives in Long Island, and it's like not that far from Brooklyn, and we're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna be in bed, but thanks.
Thanks so much. Jammies are on.
Thanks for thinking of me.
I'm not gonna be doing that.
Yeah.
But you all came back on Sunday. We were like, I'm going to bed and I'm sleeping in, and that is my life. And you were like back out there Sunday in the morning. Was it ugly?
I was 5 hours late.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay.
I worked out a 2-hour difference. So technically we were supposed to be there by like 9:30. And I was like, hey, Austin, since you're going straight home after this, do you want to open tomorrow? You're a teacher, morning person. Great. So he said yes. And I was like, cool, I'll be there around like 12-ish. And I walked in at 3. But I wasn't working. That was like my day off. So that I
Okay.
could
Okay.
like, yeah.
Got it.
That
What
was the
time
day
did it end on Sunday?
at 5. Or they
Oh, so
kind of
you
shut down the vendor room around 4:30, and then they did like a D&D thing with some of the Trek actors, and we stayed and watched that until like 7:30.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like you were working the table. It's not like to proudly go, like proudly went and the table was empty.
Yeah, no, not at
No,
all.
okay,
They were
good.
there. The other 2 were there.
Oh, good.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back in our minds. It's Friday. We've walked in, the 3 of us in our uniforms, living our lives, loving it. The first thing in the theater was supposed to be a welcome with Bonnie and Ryan, Bonnie Gordon, and Ryan. Oh, he's the co-host
Husk.
of yes, he's
Ryan
the
Husk.
co-host of Husk. Brian
you say
T. Husk.
Oh, I was like, God bless you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
He's the co-host of the Seventh Rule. So so we go in, we sit down, and it is sparse. Like I guess I didn't realize that
Tumbleweeds.
Friday is like not the day. Like most people are not going to take off work to like go to this. And Ryan comes out. There's no Bonnie.
Right. Bonnie had
because
flight issues.
She had flight issues, which I guess we had known from her Instagram or something. Like
That's what y'all
there
said,
was,
that she had posted on Instagram that like,
Yeah.
not gonna make it, y'all. Sorry.
there was hubbub about her not being able to be there that day.
There was some weather-related West Coast
yeah.
travel. Like I think Terry Farrell didn't make it the first day either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But and then Ryan, I don't know if like he wasn't given like a script or told to improv, so he gets out there and he brings on stage an actor,
Sean Kennedy.
Sean Kennedy. Thank you for remembering. I was just gonna have to Google it. But did not introduce him very well. He was like, so you've been in Star Trek, like what show were you in? Was it recent? And like, no, he was in the original series. He was in like
Sean
3
Kenny.
episodes
Oh my gosh,
of the original
yes.
episode.
Yeah,
So
you
this
forgot that.
actor,
You
like,
wiped it from your brain.
Wait, he's Pike in the chair.
yeah,
Correct.
he's
Yeah.
Pike in the chair, and then he's also like a red shirt in another episode, you know,
He gets
And I did-
rolled around and he beeps.
which is
Correct.
great. Like,
Yeah,
love
which
that.
is- yeah.
But that was the worst way to introduce him. So then he
Correct.
had to introduce himself
Correct.
as being like Captain Pike. And then, oh yeah, it was not a good way to start. And then the first panel of the whole thing, on the schedule, Dabo Girls and Comfort Women of Star Trek with our good friend Leigh Ellen. So tell us how that happened. You got on the main stage first, like panel of the event.
That was crazy. So also on Thursday night was like the time to be at the con.
I'm learning this now.
Right.
But we were setting up our booth and we were right next to a table for it's like New York cosplay meetups essentially. And this woman, Darlena has my heart. Darlena is such a sweetheart. And she overheard us talking about Trek stuff. And then I kind of started talking about Dabo Girl things with her. And she was like, hey, do you want to be on my panel tomorrow? I think one of the people isn't going to be able to make it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And we go through the full evening of setup. And as we're leaving, I'm like, hey, were you serious? Did you want me to do the panel? And she's like, yeah, I'd be honored to have you. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm gonna go home and do some homework. And I came home and I watched Bar Association and I forgot the episode name, but the one with Kira where she goes with the orb of time back to like see her mother with Gul Dukat. And I had no idea. Like, what I did a little Googling on, like, World War II, like Japanese comfort women, because that's a lot of what that was
Mhm.
based off of in Star Trek, in Deep Space Nine.
It's
And
fascinating.
it turns out that everyone that she had booked on the panel couldn't make it. So it was just she and I. It was my first panel ever to do at a convention. It's on the main stage at a creation event. And like, thank God I did homework the night before. But she
And
forgot
speaking of interview introductions, so
she
she
forgot
gets
my name.
introduced, and then she was like, "And I'd like to come and introduce yourself to you."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, bless her heart." I
Yeah.
mean, we've all been there. We've all forgotten names. I just forgot Sean Kennedy's name, but like, oh, that must
Well, I
have
mean,
like been like,
we met
what?
the day before.
Right,
Yeah, we met
right,
the
right.
day before.
So funny. But it was a great panel. She was very knowledgeable
Yes.
about the history of comfort women, and
Yeah.
uh I think she's one of the heads of the Star Trek meetup in New York.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, definitely check them out. Um but um but yeah, it ended up being a really good little panel, but it was uh
It was
a
more of a
weird first
conversation.
panel. It was more of a conversation, and
Panel and means
then
like
like
4 people. It's like
like
you and I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
and we you took questions, or she took questions really,
yeah,
and most of them were not about Daba girls or comfort women,
sure
because no
weren't.
one had questions about that.
Nope.
No.
So I don't even remember the questions, but it was like, oh, are you just asking me my opinion about what should happen in Star Trek?
Yep,
You
that's
know what
exactly
I
how that
mean?
went.
Yeah. Well, my brother came in for the save and was like, "Hey, what's
Yeah.
your Star Trek episode?" And so we got into that a little bit, which was fun, but like also had nothing to do with women or Dabo girls or, comfort slaves or anything like that. So
Oh my
it was
gosh.
interesting.
It's fun.
I feel like it's just
Um,
an interesting topic to like it's so specific, and
yeah.
maybe
Uh-huh.
her like if the guests that she had planned had come, it would have filled
Yeah.
out a little more, because I think that
Yeah.
because she was so knowledgeable about it and
Right.
learning, you're like, I did a little homework, watch some shows. It was like the depth of information. It was sort of like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, 20 more minutes. What are we talking? Like, it just
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt bad for you, and not in like a like, just because I was like, she just talked and like she knew stuff, but it was sort of like, okay, how much more is there to say?
Right. If
Well, yeah.
I felt like
And you were
it very
trying.
much it was like she had a lot of information and setups that would
Yeah,
have been great to have like two or three other people conversing about. But when it's
correct.
Mhm.
just me, I'm like, thank you for that information. Let's
Mission.
talk about women and how everybody's always hated women. So
That's
It makes sense.
if you needed like Chase Masterson or somebody to like provide another
Yes.
perspective.
yeah, for sure.
Um and if it was a larger convention, like the way the whole thing was structured, there was the lobby with registration, and then there was a smaller room or two that they were just using for like the VIP meet and greets and the photos.
Did that
And
ever
then
open
it
Oh
did.
on
yeah.
Saturday?
When we
Yeah, there was
walked
a
in on
huge
Saturday,
line.
it was a huge line right at the door.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, and then the rest of it was one giant room, like an
Mm-hmm.
expo hall with a big curtain in the middle that divided the vendor area from the theater.
Correct.
Um, and in another convention, I think the Comfort Women panel could have been like a side room, like a not hall H, but like,
Right.
whatever. Um,
Right.
and it would have, I think, been more conducive to conversation, to have a real conversation about it, because it would have fit in well at the DNI con
Oh,
in
100%.
Philly.
100%. Yeah, because at that con there was like a main stage, and then there was like a smaller room for like smaller conversations. And a lot of
Mhm.
those smaller panels were, they were the panels that were like on a topic with an expert that did not necessarily include a Star Trek celebrity, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like our friend Bree Fram was spoke in one of those panels that we were at.
When
Our
you
friend
learned
had-
that Bree was actually in a uniform because
real Space Force.
she was in a real actual.
Right. That's funny.
No, but you did listen. You did great. Not knowing all about, you did great. You did great.
Saved her.
Yes.
You saved that panel.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
The
It
other
was interesting.
There was another panel that was awkward to me. The wine tasting panel.
Okay.
I wanted to see that. Please tell.
It was so. I think part of it is a lot of these, particularly the Deep Space Nine actors, right, don't have a lot new to talk about, right? They can talk about like their own projects, their own things, but like in terms of like in the world of Star Trek, right? There's the Voyager documentary, the Next Gen cast has, just Picard, right?
Yeah.
And
or they're directing if they're Jonathan Frakes,
right. And Deep Space Nine is beloved, and fans want to see them.
Yeah.
But like the panels, you can tell like the Deep Space Nine panel on Thursday, they didn't have Friday.
You mean Friday?
Thank you, Friday.
Oh yeah.
Right, like they didn't have a lot of meat on their bones for that conversation, particularly, and they were kind of just, they were answering questions, they were sort of bantering back and forth, but there was not a lot.
Who was on that panel?
That was Max Grudenchik,
Sirach, and
J.G. Hertzler.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't. It's
very
help.
entertaining.
Entertaining. My man was on. It was like edible, possibly a shot, maybe a line. I know he was like, which I loved. Like
Sirach was keeping that panel afloat. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You need a little crazy to like take us some places. Like he was the razzle dazzle of it all. Sirach was very grounded, like, yes, we're gonna talk about these things. Max, I was like, oh, so sweet. So sweet, old man.
Such a nice, just a
lovely,
positive aura, very sweet.
Nothing to talk about.
No. But it had a great moderator too.
Trying so hard.
Yeah. Lolita
Faggio.
Oh, Lolita Faggio. Wasn't the guy who plays Ducat's number 2, wasn't he supposed to be leading that panel?
Casey Biggs. So the panel, Casey Biggs was the wine tasting. Yeah. So he was, is he a sommelier? Is he a guy who likes wine? I don't know. He's got, I don't think he went so far as to say he was a sommelier, but he was
is he a guy who likes wine?
Is he just a drunk?
I don't really know.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this was a Saturday panel, and it was called Casey's Wine Tasting with Sirach, Terry, and Bonnie. And it seems like, I might be wrong, she did make it. Yeah, she was there the second day. Yeah.
Okay.
And she was emceeing, and she was great. And Ryan was better to have her to play off of, actually. Like,
it seemed like they were supposed to be a duo. It made a lot more sense with the two of them together, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. The wine tasting felt like something that you would have done on a cruise, and maybe it started on the Star Trek cruise, but you know how like the itinerary on a cruise, they're desperate to find little things for people to do, and a wine tasting panel, because you're stuck on a boat, you have those days at sea. The wine tasting panel would probably include wine for you to taste too, but here we were just watching people drink wine and talk about it.
I'm getting notes of oak. I can only imagine this like in my
exactly
head.
That notes of oak. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He talked about he had like an anagram for remembering what you're looking for in wine. Which we already forgot. It's like, it's like cut, clarity, and what, like for diamonds. It's something like that for wine.
The 4 C's, yes.
Yeah, clarity. Whatever it was.
I missed this because I'm restaurant person. Like I do wine
Oh.
tasting regularly, like
What are the 4 C's? Now it's gonna bug
For
me.
what?
It's not
What for
C's. It's
diamonds?
what's
Oh,
the yeah.
cut, clarity.
No, but for wine, it
Oh, I
was
don't
the
know
wine,
that. I
I mean,
wasn't
you're
at the.
looking for color, you're looking for
It's legs, the it's scent, it's
it
aroma.
had something does
the
it
nose, the
linger?
palate,
Hmm.
acid,
Come on, Google it.
minerality.
We're just gonna keep talking until you Googs it and tell
I'm
us what it
I mean,
trying.
is.
I can just keep saying wine words.
Wine words.
Exactly. The tannins, are the tannins low? Has it been aged in a barrel that used to have bourbon in
Is it
it to give it?
new French
Oh my
oak or
gosh.
old oak?
Yes, what region does it come from? Because if it's a Bordeaux, it has to come specifically from the region of Bordeaux. Uh,
So the wines themselves, they had basically they had been asked to do this panel and they said, okay, well, we need like 3 wines. We need and they described what they wanted. And then the convention just bought wine.
Right.
So they didn't pick which wines. And so they were like, I've never had this wine before. And they're like reading the label. It was a weird panel.
Stop
It was weird, and I definitely turned to Mike and I was like, "Do you want to go?" And do you remember what you said? And
What did
he
he
kind of
say?
paused and he kind of thought hard. He's like, "I just really
Oh,
love singing."
I was like,
He's like,
if we
we
stay,
have
we
the
get to keep
seats.
sitting.
Yeah.
Because it was either that or walk around the
Mm-hmm.
convention.
I feel
And
like
I
the
also
move is
was not feeling great, but
pull a bottle of wine out of your bag and join them, right?
Correct.
Like,
You're like,
is that
how
the
about
move?
this?
yes.
Have you heard of this brand? Yes.
Oh my gosh. But they
Wine
did at the end, they did say like, come down and we'll the rest of the wine will like give everyone samples or whatever who comes down. So this massive people walk down to the
There's
stage.
like 3
And I was
bottles.
like, I am not getting in that. There's 3 half
No.
empty bottles of wine
Uh-huh.
and 200 people. Like he ain't
Oh.
Jesus. This ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I can't with you. Hilarious. But it's true.
The other the other Saturday panel that was unhinged was Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner. And
Ooh.
I think they thought they were going to have Ian Spelling moderate, but that wasn't on the schedule, so it was just them.
Ian Spelling, am I supposed to
Who
know that name?
is he moderated a lot of the panels.
Okay.
I only remember the
They
name because I'm
all seem
looking
to
at
know
the
who he
schedule.
is. I don't know.
Yeah, they
That's
all said it
fine.
like he's a thing. I don't know.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's just like, you know that
Documentary, like Star Trek
Hmm.
documentary.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Leanne, what you'll learn is that they say actual actors' names, and I'm like, who'd they play? So I was thinking like
Mm.
maybe it's a character that
No,
I
we
don't
didn't
know
right.
their name.
We didn't know.
Yeah, y'all are friends of these people. I'm just here.
So the Johnny and Brent show was unhinged from the beginning. They were not on they've been doing this for so long, and they know that people just enjoy them being on stage and being funny.
Right.
Okay.
They're like, we can do whatever we want.
They could just do whatever they want. And they had these big posters with the headshots of all the actors that were coming like on the sides of the stage.
Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah.
And Jonathan Frakes' picture was like halfway down, and he's like, what the fuck? Like who has top billing? And at the very top, it was Eugene Cordero.
Yeah.
And so he was just like riffing about how the disrespect. And then
Eugene Cordero actually came out and they gave him a hard time to his face. But yes.
yes. Yeah, the lower decks people came out and they're like, we heard that you needed water. We know our place. So they like brought water and they're like, is there anything else you need? It was a really fun, and other people just popped in. Marina Sirtis was there for a second. Michael Dorn was there for a second. Yeah. That was probably
And
my
what
favorite
did they
panel.
talk about? Anything?
It was not. It was really not. I mean, it took some questions from the audience, which was actually kind of
They did.
awkward. I felt because they were like, because I always just have such empathy for the question
Yeah.
asker, because so many of them are like, hi, like the one was like, hi, I just started art school and I was wondering, and then in the middle of that, literally, I just started art school, I was wondering, Marina Sirtis comes on and then they stop everything
And they're like,
and then
wait,
clown around with her, and then Michael Dorn comes on.
Amazzani.
Right, and all I can think in my head is like, this part, like, child, It's like
Right.
it's like standing there, be like, "Do I get to ask my question?" Like totally just got like
Right.
kicked to the curb. And then they
Yeah.
finally eventually came back to them, and it was and they were
Right.
nice. But I was like,
And they
like
were nice. And they
they were
didn't have
kind
any
of
good answer for like, do you have any advice for someone in art school? And they're like, they're like,
No. Are
they
any
basically
of
like
them
AI is
artists?
taking your job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't.
no. But when they found out that they were an illustrator, they were like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's
you'll
true.
be fine.
That's true.
You'll
They're
be
like,
fine.
oh
You'll
yeah,
have
you'll be
time."
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Yeah. But it was So there were some of them that I was like, oh, it just felt bad for the people asking questions because they weren't really like giving them their due. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one
Yeah.
thing to like
Yeah.
not really answer the question, but it's also at a certain point you're like, oh, that's like kind of insulting. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I will
Okay.
say there were several people lined up to ask questions that didn't get to ask them. And at the end, they both apologized. They were like, sorry if you're in line, come by our table and ask your question. Like, you know, like they acknowledged
Right.
that, which I thought was really great, actually.
Good.
And that brings me to something else I wanted to talk about. So all of the actors had tables in the vendor room to
Mm-hmm.
sign autographs, um, sell selfies. They all had little menus of like what it costs to get a selfie with them or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And they had a little convention volunteer helper. I assume they're volunteers. I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're paid employees helping them. But I kind of felt like in order to walk up to someone and talk to them,
Yeah.
I should pay something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I kind of wanted to walk up to Jonathan Frakes and be like, I
You
think
shouldn't
you're
have.
amazing.
No. I did that, and that didn't go over too hotly. So
Yeah.
you're
Can you tell us
and
about that?
not. No. I don't. Okay, I'm not saying it
Because
like
we
that.
saw it
It was.
happen, and I was like, ugh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
exactly. I was like, okay. No, just sort of like walking over and letting
It
Troy
was
and
yeah.
Dorn know, like, hey, love your work, yada yada yada. But it it was weird just because it was like they had been standing and talking, and I was like, oh, opportunity. They're standing. Like, let me just beeline. By the time I got there, they had both sat back down. So then it was like, ugh. It's sort of like that medium who's like when she puts her hat on, the ghosts know not to talk to her, but when she takes it off,
Right.
that's when all the voices.
I
No.
don't know this reference.
Oh,
But
ha! I will Google it. I'm telling you, there was a time when Teresa Caputo wasn't the only person being a medium on TV, um, but, and I was just sort of like, I really, love you and Star Trek. Just want to say that before I leave. And they were sort of like, okay, and I get it. Like you're there. You're doing a job. Like
right.
the con has probably paid you, but also this income that someone is like getting something signed or taking a
Yeah.
picture, like. I understand that. So I
Yeah.
I didn't feel any type of way about it. It was just like that's what I said.
No,
I think you
it's a
can do it
gig.
because
Right.
unless
It
you know
felt
them, unlike Damien, who Damazon, who knows actual people, and was like, "Hey, you want to just go with my boyfriend? I just wanted to say hello."
I
And
did
it
have
was,
that moment. I did, and I was like, and I
I-
felt that I felt weird about that way. So my partner Colby went to college with Gabrielle Ruiz, who's the voice of Talin, and I know that she's been working all the cons and all of that. And but I was like they're friends, like
friends.
they're
Hmm.
yeah.
close, like they,
Yeah.
they keep in touch, and like they, so I was like, I feel like I should say hello, like,
Yeah.
Yep.
but I also
Did you
like,
wait in line?
well, I waited
No.
till there was no line, and then I was
Okay.
like, I don't quite know how to like handle it.
And
So I was
I
like,
was like, "You better go say hello." You
and I
literally like
did,
this
and
is
I was
someone
like,
like
hi, I'm
no.
Damien, I'm Colby's boyfriend, and she immediately leapt her feet, gave me a big hug, and then we talked the next day. So she was lovely. She was
Yeah.
lovely, but
And you got an
And you
illegal
got
selfie.
an unauthorized. I
I
was
got
like,
an unauthorized selfie. She's like, oh,
but she
let's
all
take a picture for Colby,
let's
and
take
then
a
I was
picture. And then there was video. And then I was like, oh, we're
right.
doing like, is this a photo? I
Yes.
was like, video.
Yeah.
And switch to video. Go.
Because they're like
Yes.
they're real people, It's like People
Yeah.
Magazine.
Yes.
They're just like us.
Like they're just
Um,
like us.
but I do think you have to read the room, I think. Like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I
I didn't do so
didn't
good at that.
I, watching the interaction of you and Marina Sirtis, not that she was rude, but what I got out of it was she was like, this line's for paying customers.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
right.
And
Thank
Right.
you. Move
thank you.
along.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah. Do you want a signature?
Right.
Do you want a photo?
Right.
And
Right.
at
Of
the end
course
of
you
the
love us.
day,
You're here. Next,
I think kind
Which
of a weird workaround for that is like giving them a gift because I didn't
Yeah.
have any
yeah.
money to like I did spend I got a selfie with Terry Farrell, which I was very excited about. And then
Oh.
Logan and I paid for that professional photo with Gates McFadden. But there were a lot of people that I was able to just kind of go up with a little like swag bag of to Proudly Go stuff because
Mhm.
it's like serving multiple purposes
Mhm.
of like I get to come
Yeah.
talk to you, but also I can get you interested in what my organization is doing. And also
Right.
like,
And
I'm
it's like,
not wasting your time for free. Like, here's
right.
gifts,
And you're
Yeah,
promoting
yeah,
a
yeah.
nonprofit that's like raising money for good causes too. It's
Yeah.
not like,
You're
you
doing it.
know,
You're doing a thing. I was
Yeah.
just
right.
being a fan, and I get it. Like,
Right. Well, and also,
you know.
Leigh Ellen, you had the advantage of being there all day Friday when it wasn't mob, so you could like catch
Mhm.
them when they were in between, or
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
it's different when they see someone who's actually like, well, like she said, like representing a nonprofit, like at
Yeah.
a table
Yeah.
at the con, like you have a table, they have a table, like you're there all day,
Your
they're there all day.
colleagues.
Yeah.
I'm just a guest. So you
Yes.
you had
I
Yeah.
I have to confess, I never know what to say to these famous people. Like when okay, here was the embarrassing thing that I did. And it's not that embarrassing. But when we met Tawny Newsome and Eugene Cordero, first I was like, so what are you guys doing tonight? And it wasn't tonight, it was tomorrow night. And they looked at us like, what are you talking about? And someone was like, no, Saturday. And I was like, oh no, Saturday night. What are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're doing this thing, this improv thing. And so then they realized I wasn't trying to ask them out on like a threesome. Um, but then after the picture, I like wanted to say something else. So I said to Eugene Cordero, because he was in The Good Place. He played Pillboy,
Hmm?
which was a hilarious minor character.
Perfect.
And I
No, it
was
wasn't minor.
like,
It was great.
yeah, great. And I was like, by the way, love Pillboy. And he was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, it was such a good show, like very earnestly. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I saying this to him? It's not sad. It ended fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it
Because
was
it
just,
ended.
I was
Because
just,
it
because it
ended.
ended. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And the thing is that that shows that you are actually a fan of his, right? Like to speak
Sure.
of
Not just
something
a
that has
Trekkie.
zero connection to Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like the furthest thing from Star Trek was Pillboy,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
right?
That's true.
So that just I think that endears you a little bit to it's like, yeah, I'm here for this Star Trek con, but guess what? I've seen you in other stuff where like you were able to like be a live action person
Mm.
and showcase
Oh,
your
sure.
skill. So no,
That's
that
true.
wasn't weird. Me
Okay.
like
You make me feel better.
scuttling over, being like, "I love your work." They're like, "Okay, crazy lady,
I did. I
thanks for
talked
coming."
to Tawny and Eugene about their performance on At Midnight. Did you guys see that? I
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I also was like went old school because I've been watching At Midnight since I was
Wait,
in
tell us what that
college.
is. What is at midnight?
At Midnight is now kind of like the late show after, is it Stephen Colbert? It's on
Is
CBS
that the
now.
girl who
Oh,
I
stands and it's a
Taylor
game show?
yes,
Tomlinson.
it's like
Yeah.
a game show with
She's a
celebrities and
comedian, right?
she's hilarious.
Yeah. And it
Huh.
used to be on Comedy Central at midnight, which is where the name comes
Oh.
from. And
Hmm.
that was on for years back when I was in college and when I first moved to the city. And they would just have like kind of small, like not super well known comedians, like local comedians to LA or New York or whatever. And now it's like primetime late night TV. And
Yeah,
but they went on
everybody's on there.
promoted and that was cool. But I brought that up because I was like, I watch you guys in other stuff besides just Star Trek, even though you were promoting Star Trek.
I think
That's
people
great.
like that. It's like you're just not
Yeah.
a one like I'm only having you in this singular view. It's like, oh, you are a well-rounded actor. Love your
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
They were lovely.
well, and it sort of took me back to when we were at Second City on Saturday night, right? Because I mentioned that they promised us this voice recording that we kind of weren't clear how to redeem. Long story short, we did not redeem it.
We did not.
You did not hear it opening the show, ladies and gentlemen.
So
But
disappointed.
but we were sort of like at the bar after the show, and we were there with Heather and the whole gang, and
But not drinking. We were just lurking.
We
Let's
were
be honest.
just lurking. We were lurking, and we were like celebrity stalking, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were like trying to be like, how do we like angle in to like redeem this thing that they kind of promised us, right? And
We were
I
the
found
least creepy celebrity stalkers.
yes, no, we were. No, we were not.
That's
We were
true.
not being creepy. We were on a good behavior.
Yeah.
And you, Leigh Ellen, were very sparkly. And if anyone was gonna like break through and like make
Yeah.
it happen, it was you. And we much gratitude. But it
Yes.
reached a point where I was like, I don't necessarily like the way this feels.
Yeah.
Like it is not important enough to me to have this moment. I'm not like a
Yeah.
collector. I'm
Mhm.
not like a brag. You know, I don't like to need to brag about this stuff. I
Right.
mean, it was fun to meet them. It was fun to get, I'm
Yeah.
glad we have the selfie.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't important enough to me that like I had fun with the people that I came with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had fun with the friends that I walked in with, and they were great and they were nice, and I didn't necessarily need more than that.
Right.
And I realized that is kind of how I felt about the celebrities at the con too.
Mm.
Because I think I told you I had this moment in Philly watching Terry Farrell speak where I was like, she's so lovely. She's inarguably like, just beyond lovely. I love hearing
Right.
her on the Delta Flyers. It's
Mhm.
like she's very insightful. She's very funny.
I love
She is.
her on that. Oh my god.
Yes, it's so good. I was just listening to it today.
I told her that when I met her too.
That's
Yeah.
great.
But she is not Jadzia Dax.
No.
No.
And I hate to sound like a child and be like that this was like some sort of like awakening. Like obviously Jadzia is a character that
Yeah.
she played a part in inventing. But like that for whatever reason struck me. I was like, oh, like because I love Jadzia Dax does not mean that I need to be Terry Farrell's friend. It does not mean that like Terry Farrell needs to be her in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Like this is like
Right.
this is like a totally like this is a realization that a child should be having, but adult Damien was having it at the Star Trek convention.
Mhm.
No, it's
And
fine.
and the takeaway to me is always like I have more fun with the people who are my friends, the people
Yeah.
seeing people who I have met at other cons, and that is the sort of community of it that I'm drawn to. Even if it's
Yes.
nice to meet and cool to have these encounters with these people, it is not what it's all about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a communal experience like theater that you get to experience with
Mhm.
like-minded nerds that that and you make friends, and then you see them at the next event, and and the celebrities are part of it. If they weren't there, it wouldn't be the same at all.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not me. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying, but going
No,
up to, I don't know what I would say to them. In fact, when Kate Mulgrew wrote her, oh, actually, okay, better story. I went to the book launch of when Kate Mulgrew wrote her first book and got it signed. And I was like, "How are you today?" And she was like, "I'm having a great day." Like that was not a wonderful interaction, but she was lovely. She was having a great day. But years before that, I met Nichelle Nichols. I might have told this story before. And at this point, she was older. This was like 2011. She was having some cognitive issues, as many of us do when we get older. And I think she was tired. She'd been signing and signing and signing. And I bought from eBay or from Amazon a copy of her autobiography that I'm sure she wrote with a ghostwriter in the 90s called, what's it called? Beyond Uhura, I think. And I gave that to her to sign. And she had a Sharpie, and she made a mark in the book and then stopped and said, "Oh, I don't want to ruin the book with a Sharpie." And she put it down, and she wanted a pen. So then she flipped to another page and signed in a pen. So I have this book with this random Sharpie mark that Nichelle Nichols made that she was like, "I don't like to ruin books." And she had told the story about how before she did Star Trek, she was going to be on Broadway, and she was going to, sing on Broadway. And she made the choice to leave that career and go into television. And this was in New York. And I was like, oh, while you're in town, are you seeing any Broadway shows? And then the thing happened with the pen. And I should have just been like, okay, fine. But I was like, so are you seeing any shows? And she was like, no. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. Like, I felt a little bit like, I'm sorry I'm bothering you. But she was very sweet. She wasn't mean about it at all.
You badgered that nice old lady.
I
My
know.
God.
That's
I
what
felt
you did.
so bad.
You should.
She was
Terrible,
so
Mike.
sweet. And I said, I love you. And she said, I love you too. But
Oh,
See,
that's so sweet.
That's the
But,
thing,
yeah.
though. Like, Damien, the realization where you're like, this person is a person, not their character. Like, I literally think of detective, well, he's not Detective Green, who played Tom Collins on Rent. We know when they did Rent again
Oh, yeah.
on TV,
Yeah.
and he came back to reprise his role.
Jesse
He was
L.
like-
Martin.
Yes, Jesse L.
Yes.
Martin. He was like, he was walking through New York as they want to do, and someone was like, yo, Detective Green, yo, I didn't know you could sing. And he was like, well,
That's
number
hilarious.
one, my name is Jesse L. Martin, and yes, I can, because I started on Broadway. And it just cracks me up that like, you get imbued in someone's heart and mind as this
Yeah.
character, and it's
Yeah.
hard to like flip the switch, but when you're actually not a psychopath, you can do that. And so, good job, Damazon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I grew a little bit of maturity at that con.
Just a little bit.
Just a little, not too much.
I have a random question. So I know that there's always tabling, right? Like, there's always the celebrity signing and
Mhm.
photo ops, and then there are usually vendors who are selling their wares.
Mhm.
Do they sort of have, like, I know that they're going to be different, like, not everybody's at every con, but are there sort of vendors who are attached with the larger organization where it's like they're the go-to vendor to come and vend at the con? Because like the young lady with like the cool jackets, right? And then there are the people who look
Mhm.
like they've been collecting things since 1965 or gone to the sale of the storage units. They were on like Storage
Mhm.
Wars and $600 and like, ooh, I found all of these Star Trek things. Like, I know you can sign up to be a vendor. Like, I know that whole process, but like, do they
Yeah, yeah.
have people that they're sort of like, definitely every con we come to because you do so well, you're coming, like the pin people or
I
the
mean,
jacket lady?
Mhm.
We're newer to the tabling at cons, and this was our first creation one, but I found it interesting. I was asking a lot of questions kind of along those lines because we had, Darlena on one side with the New York City, like Star Trek cosplay
Mhm.
meetup. And then on the other side, we had this woman who was selling, she was an author, and she was selling her books about like vampires and witches and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
horror. And so I started talking to her, just like, why are you at a Star Trek convention? And she was kind of looped into just the creation convention circuit because they also do like
Mm.
supernatural and like
Mhm.
vampire diary
Twilight.
conventions and all those things. And so I think she just kind of makes her living like, I mean, obviously she's an author and her books sell in stores and things,
Yeah.
but she like
Mhm.
goes to all these different conventions and like tables, even if it's not 100% like about vampires or
Right.
whatever. So
Right.
I found that odd that she was there. And then I also, from previous cons, I recognized a lot of the people. Like there were the fan sets guys with all of
Mhm.
the Starfleet badges. Those guys are at all of the conventions that I've been to. There was a guy over on the other side who had like he had like the Picard wine glasses and decanter
Mhm.
and the
Oh,
aprons.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I own a pair of socks from him that I bought in 2022, So like there is like a repeating kind of people that go to a lot of cons, and then there's like some thrown in that just go to all the creation cons no matter what it is.
Got you.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question about the fan sets table, because I did not ask this privately, but I'm more than willing to ask it on the pod for everyone to hear.
Mm.
For my co-hosts, how many pins did you buy?
15.
You got 15
Sure did.
pens?
She all of a sudden,
I love
she
Of
became a fucking
what?
squirrel. She was
Girl,
a
you
human,
have
and then
one
she was a
Starfleet
squirrel, and then there were
uniform.
all these pins.
You have one uniform.
No, I didn't buy all Deltas. No. Mike Jones bought a new Delta, a
I
nice
did.
fancy one. I bought pins. So I bought every character from Lower Decks. I bought Moopsie in the eating Moopsie and the sweet Moopsie. I bought Merv because it was the last one
Murph.
on the
His
board.
name is
I
Murph. He's a
don't care.
Merv.
He's gonna be Merv forever.
Murph.
He was the
Merv.
last one on the board, and I said to them, "Y'all need to have him in every iteration. He needs to be the swimming one.
Uh-huh.
He needs to be the fighting one with the little butt. Like, get with it, people. Get your shit
Oh,
together."
you lectured the fan sets people.
I did,
Good.
and would do it again. And now you're gonna thank me, when they come out with a whole set of his
Oh my
metamorphosis.
God. Thank you,
through-
fan sets. Thank you, Anita, for all
my
the new Murph merch.
Like, I sure did. I was like, yes, I need all of them. I didn't care. And they're just like passing. I think the guy probably thought I was mad because I was like, yes. And he had his wife or whoever was like, well, now what does she want? And putting up there.
Pulling them out of the boxes.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm going to put this one on a thing because it doesn't have a backing. Great. Ring it up. What do I owe you? Bam. Gotta go. Thanks for the bag. I'm out.
Oh my God.
Danny was like, what
First-
are you doing?
She
First
was
convention.
like weirdly secretive, but just like what was just
She was
Sure
just focused.
acquired
Like,
and gone.
I thought for a second she was just asking to see a bunch of them. There were so
No,
many laid out,
she
and
had
I was like,
purpose.
what's happening?
Yeah,
Oh no, she's buying all those.
All of them. I said, what's my damage? Okay, here's my card. I was a little annoyed because, not at those people, because I was mad at myself because I just should have bought it when I saw it. But the rule of the old lady is, you see something, do you really need it? Well, walk away. If you come back and it's still there, then it's meant for you to have.
Yeah.
I should have known that does not work in nerd culture because there was a
Gotta
little
hoard that shit.
there was a little heavy-butted Andorian. He was so cute, and he was sitting there, and I wanted him, but I
Like a
didn't
beanbag?
buy the beanbag. But I didn't buy him.
My
My
God,
kid-
I thought you were saying a heavy-butted Andorian took the pins that you wanted.
No, it was like a little paperweight, and he was so cute. And I was like, but we had just gotten there, and we were taking our first lap, and so I said, no, don't be crazy, Cray. You have to
Right.
see what they have. Then some other fucking nerd took it, so I was mad about that. But it's
This
okay.
is why I don't have an acting ensign jacket right now.
Because you're a dum-dum.
Yeah, you should have bought that.
You
It
should have
was so
bought that
cute.
shit. It was so cute. It was $100. You spend that walking out your house in New York, please.
That's
That's why I don't like
okay.
leaving my house. Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry, Mike Jones.
Is it time to subject Leigh Ellen to our hazing rituals?
I think
Sure
it
is.
is. I think it is. It's your first time on the pod, so
Yep.
we get to ask you the questions.
okay.
We should have like a
Dun,
theme
dun,
song
dun.
for this, right? Dun, dun,
Question
dun.
time. Question time. Answer
Okay.
all truthfully.
What is your Star Trek meet cute? Meaning, how were you introduced to Star Trek the first time? How did you meet Star Trek?
Actually, it was through an ex-partner of mine, an ex-boyfriend, who we started with the original series and watched all the way through in airing order, the order that like they all aired. So we
Oh,
were
yeah.
doing, even though they don't really cross over, we were doing like Voyager and Deep Space Nine, like
Oh,
simultaneously,
interesting.
kind of jumped
Yeah.
between.
Wow.
Yeah, but the relationship didn't last, but my love for Star Trek just grew bigger and bigger and
Look
bigger.
at that.
So
You got something good out of it.
yeah, it wasn't until I was like 30 that I finally started watching, because I had an uncle growing up who was like huge into Star Trek, but he was also incredibly religious. I grew up in Texas, like super, super religious. And I always thought like, oh, well, you know, if Uncle Paul likes that, then I guess it's probably like churchy or something. Like, I don't know. And
Kinda
so I
is.
just always kind of turned my head at Star Trek until I was in my 30s. And then I was like, oh, great. Well, you know, I'm sorry that you're not as involved in the Trek community now as I am.
Well,
These
and
are my
also
people now.
we should mention that we also had a great time hanging out with your brother. Was your brother a fan before you were or after you?
He started watching Star Trek, I want to say in college with some of his college friends, but I was already living in New York then, and he was in Oklahoma and then living in Texas and then in Chicago. So like we didn't really spend enough time together to like get into the same thing until I was like, "Hey, I just started watching Star Trek. This is crazy." And he's like, "Oh, I love it." So
Oh, that's fun.
it
That's
became like
awesome.
a thing. I also have my best friend who is friends with my brother as well that lives down south. The three of us like got into Star Trek kind of together and became super fans and went to our first con in 2022. So yeah.
Oh, that's
Amazing.
awesome.
Okay. The next one is about, have you ever been to a convention? We already know that.
Yes.
I think we can skip that.
I would love if she was like, no.
No.
No, I've never been to
No.
one. That's so great.
That was my identical twin sister, Ellen and Leigh.
Is there a series that speaks to you more than others?
Oh yeah, Deep Space Nine.
Mm.
Hands down, Deep Space Nine. Because like the whole reason that I became attracted to Star Trek in the first place was, like I'm very into fantasy and all of those kind of things, but science fiction always was a little weird to me because it was so dystopian and it was always these like
Yeah.
horrid futures of like what the horrible things can happen to humanity and whatever. Especially Star Wars. No shade to any Star Wars fans. I do enjoy the movies, but that as a fandom is not my thing because it's in this dystopian future where it's like following around a single family, where Star Trek is,
Everything's dirty.
yeah, everything's dirty in Star Wars. It's so weird. It's like, do you guys like not have a mop or something?
It's a lot of dust.
But Star Trek is very like this utopia, like humanity does suck at certain points, but then it gets better and we can like strive for this future. But Deep Space Nine is like, yeah, while we have that, like look at all this shit that's going on. I mean, that's what attracted me to that Dabo Girl Comfort Women panel,
Mhm.
was because it's like, yeah, we're in this utopia, but we still have these sex slaves for soldiers, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, we're in this utopia, but we still have this terrorist with a heart of gold. And so it's like, you know, like Deep Space Nine is hands down my favorite series.
Amazing. If you could have dinner with three characters,
Oh
not
God.
actors,
You've
but
had all this time to
characters.
think
You knew
about
this
it.
one
I
was
know.
coming.
I know. I've been thinking about this for days. I listened to your podcast and I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna spit them out. I mean, it has to be Janeway, because I mean, if I didn't say Janeway, Heather would probably murder me.
Yeah. Yep.
No, but I actually, Janeway being a female captain, Janeway, I think I've been doing a lot of rewatching of Deep Space Nine, and this is my first time rewatching in a couple years, and just Cisco, the way that he deals with a lot of problems and looking at it, especially like the stuff I've watched in the last week or so after doing that panel, the way that he listens and empowers women as a male captain is insane to me. So I think Janeway, I think Cisco, and then you know, I'm oh, you guys are gonna lose your minds. Artemis.
Armis?
I want Artemis to
God.
come to my dinner. I mean, he can't touch anything, obviously, because
Right.
Armis, the slime
Armis.
monster?
Armis,
yeah,
the oil slick.
yeah.
Yep.
He's going to
Okay,
regurgitate
okay.
Be a-
Tasha Yar for you.
It'll be a
Yeah.
messy
Like
dinner.
I don't want that though, because not my favorite character.
Go ahead and ask the
Um,
question, Mike Jones. We know the answer.
Right, exactly. We have that one coming.
Mhm.
I think Armis has something to say.
Oh.
Um,
I am. Oh my god.
Wow.
if you lived in the 24th century or 23rd or 25th or 29th, what would your life be like? Would you be in Starfleet? Would you live on Earth? Would you live on
Dabo girl.
Risa?
I was thinking about
Double
this the
girl.
other day. I think that I would be like a Starfleet hospitality worker, because I kind of dig that. And I'm not into science. Like science is way over my head. Like that's not my jam. But you know, there's like the guy that cuts people's hair. There's like, and
Mr.
there's
Mott.
Guinan, who's a bartender.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would be
Yeah.
like a Starfleet kind of like hospitality person where I get to like chill with all of them, but they're the ones that have to go like fight the monsters
And
and
do the
like
work.
and do the work and
Yeah.
like do the math and stay up late and all of that. I'm
That's
like,
the
hey,
thing.
I got free drinks because we don't charge money for anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
No tips. No tips.
Oh,
You're like the shots girl. With
oh, the
synthol.
bottle girl with like the
Right?
fiery things. Bottle service.
Okay. What is your favorite? Oh, no, sorry, not favorite. What is your go-to holodeck program?
Definitely one of the ones on like a beach or like the relaxation ones. Although
Very true.
I do love the whole like O'Brien Bashir vibe where they had just like different holodeck programs that they would go play in like every single week and it would be like something crazy.
Yeah.
And, like I love those, but it would be like a vacation holodeck, but it would be way cooler than the Voyager one that Neelix and Tom Paris made. Like, yeah, it'd be cooler than that.
Okay, rapid fire. Crusher or Pulaski?
Pulaski.
Oh,
Really?
she named her cat Beverly.
Crusher, but like nobody gives Pulaski a chance, man. She has
That's
such a good character arc. Like,
yes, she grows.
Yeah, she learns to appreciate Data as like a computer, as a human, as a sentient being. Like, I love that.
Are you taking Worf's Tai Chi or doing leotard yoga with Beverly and Deanna?
Absolutely leotard yoga. Like, no Tai Chi for me. Like, no, thank you.
just for the gossip. I feel like that's where the hot goss happens, like during leotard yoga.
Because there is no patient confidentiality because she's not a licensed therapist.
Just ask Jack Crusher.
Oh my gosh. Too soon.
Wrong Jack. Wait, I'm thinking of the wrong Jack Crusher.
Oh, the wrong Jack, not the dead one. Are you drinking tea Earl Grey hot or coffee black?
Neither. I want to put all the sugar and cream in my coffee, and I just haven't really been into tea in a while, so I'm gonna go coffee.
Fractigino?
Fractigino, yes. Third
I should
answer.
add that as a third option.
You should.
If you had a replicator sitting next to you right now, what would you make?
Every food item that I've ever wanted. Like, I would give it the recipes of all of my favorite like Michelin star restaurants and just like sit at home and eat all of that by myself watching Star Trek.
Yes. I'm going to come over to your house.
Yeah.
Who is your Star Trek bartender, Guinan or Quark?
That one's so hard for me. Like, I want to be Guinan, but I really dig Quark and how shady he is. And like, I mean, it's always a fun time with Quark. Like, he's always getting himself into trouble, where Guinan's just like, hey, let me give you advice. Like, I don't want to give you advice. I want to like stir up some shit and like watch what happens and maybe make a couple like gold pressed latinums off of it.
Nice.
I love it. Arbiter of chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I think we know the answer. Are you Team Tasha or Team Armis?
Artemis. Hands down.
I feel like we should keep a running tally of how many people are sacrificing Yar to the goo.
It wasn't her fault. It was the way that they wrote her character in that first season. They weren't ready for like a woman to actually do things, but her character I was ready for her to go.
Right. Favorite alien species?
Ooh. Moopsie.
I don't think is Moopsie the name and the species? Like, is Moopsie a Moopsie?
I think so.
I love it. It'll drink your bones. Finally, who's your captain?
This one,
Your answer.
Ooh,
You're not
this
gonna
is
listen.
this is an especially dicey answer because your captain may be listening.
No,
Listening.
that doesn't count. You cannot be forced to make a choice.
That's
This is
true.
Leigh Ellen.
I'm sorry, Heather Wood. I'm
No
sorry
sorries.
to say, but I think Cisco is my captain.
I knew that answer.
Yeah.
Now,
When Deep
is
Space Nine
this
is your go-to,
Yeah.
Cisco is your guy.
is this bald Cisco with the goatee or like early
Mm.
season Cisco with the hair?
I'll take either one because
Okay, yeah.
he's still the same person. Like he's still listening to women in the beginning and in the end. So like
He
I'm
is.
down. I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
It's really the listening to women that like gets me all like excited. Like, oh my God, a man is taking us seriously. What? Yeah.
No mansplaining from Cisco.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
like,
mean,
oh,
he had
to tell you again.
Jadzia Dax and Kira
Kira.
Nerys like supporting him. So
Yeah.
yeah, like obviously. All right. Sorry, my computer just popped up a weird error message. I was like, did it stop recording?
No, we're still
No,
going. You're
we're
good.
still recording. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Did I
Whew,
survive?
Panic.
You
Yes.
did.
You
Ran the
did.
gauntlet. Yay.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us, and tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find, my Instagram is actually private, so I'll just give you the To Proudly Go.
Yeah.
Reach out to @To Proudly Go on any social media. If you actually do want to get in contact with me, you can reach out to those guys and they will send me your information. I don't know why you would need to, but whatever. Like, hey, we're all about
They
hanging
want to
out
talk
with
about
Becky.
Cisco.
Yeah,
Right.
they want to talk about Cisco or like, hey, Ciroc, if you're listening, like that's how you can find me.
And
yeah,
where can
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and where can folks find To Proudly Go every weekend?
To Proudly Go every Saturday from 6 to 9. We are at Barracuda Lounge in Chelsea on 22nd and 8th Avenue. It is an iconic 30-year-old New York City gay bar. And we are always trekking it up over there. We do viewing parties for the most recent episodes. So check us out on socials To Proudly Go or come check us out at Barracuda Lounge on Saturdays.
Woohoo,
It's a
good drinks.
time.
And should we thank Heather Wood for loaning us Leigh Ellen for the hour? I guess we didn't ask permission. Don't be mad at us, Heather. We love you.
It's not my real mom.
It's an away mission. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And still promoting the cause. So, it's a business and pleasure.
That is one thing. You and Austin and Z did such a great job promoting your group there. It was really great to see you guys at work there.
Thank you.
Yeah, working that table, making those connections.
Really, really fun. Actually, do we have time for me to tell like one very short story?
Yes.
Of course we do.
Absolutely.
So
we always tell everyone when you think it's almost over, check the timestamp because
it's not.
Right.
So I think my favorite interaction that we had the whole weekend at the table was early on. I want to say it was Saturday morning. Well, yeah, it couldn't have been early Sunday morning because I wasn't there. But it was a family that came up, and Austin gave I think it was a rainbow tattoo to the little daughter, and she got so excited. And the mom purchased like a trans magnet and like a trans like sticker for her. And the mom and the daughter walked away, and the dad came back over, and he was like, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here because she's trans and she's very nervous about talking about it, and she doesn't like us to make a big deal out of it. But just seeing that you guys are here with like your rainbows and your flags and you're so proud to be who you are, it helps her to see that she can be proud about who she is. And I was like dying. I was like in tears.
Oh, that is
I would have
amazing.
But it just really laid it home that like we're out there doing something that's important. And especially after the most recent election, like we're out there trying to create a safe space for queer nerds to just be themselves and have somewhere that they can like fellowship. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
And
Absolutely.
that is, I mean, that's the best part about what you
Hearing
guys do.
it
I mean, I
now.
realize, I realize, you know, you're doing all this great charitable work, which is great, but like creating a safe space for queer nerds is like, I mean, that's, you know, part of what we're trying to do in our own weird way too. But like, that is, it's really cool to see it. So
Yeah.
if you're in New York City and you're a Trekkie, you should go check
Right.
it out.
These are your
No.
people.
Good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. I'm all emotional now. All right, so I want to thank my co-host for joining me today. This has been wonderful. I'm looking forward to the next convention, whenever that is.
Mhm.
Apparently there was supposed to be one coming up next year in Orlando, but then it disappeared from their website. So,
I do have an insider tip if you guys want.
yeah,
I mean,
There is a convention in
please.
Long Island at the end of May.
Trek Long Island,
Prague,
yes.
Long Island. We are going to be going to Proudly Go, and we're going to be performing. The drag queens are going to be performing. I might be singing live.
Oh my God.
What?
So yeah, come out to that one.
Amazing.
Coming.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
that's regional. We're in the area. We will be there.
Right there.
And also, let's just put it out in the world, manifest it now, Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, August 2025. First weekend in August it always is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
easy.
We got a
easy
while
to
to think about.
remember. We do. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you leave us that 5-star review and reach out to us. Shoot us a message on the socials at Hailing Freak Open. That's FREQ. With that, I will say Hailing Frequencies closed.
No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing frequencies closed, sir.